What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Codex Station's Comic Character of the Week. I'm your host tonight, Sal the Slab Guy. Joining me tonight is Dan the Man Kelly. And of course, down below is the Ric Flair of comics himself, Uncle Gary. How you guys doing tonight? How you guys doing?
Well, we're doing all right, Sal. You and I are on pins and needles, but we're doing all right.
Pins and needles. Yeah, I almost said I gotta cancel this show tonight because I needed to watch this game, but I could have gone tonight.
Oh,
I could have gone tonight, but I chose not to.
Chose not to. Here we go.
If I go, they would have been blown out, and I would have seen a handshake, and I would have been coming back angry.
You'd have been angry.
Angry. Oh, you guys have never seen me at the hockey game. I'm a completely different person. It's scary.
It's scary.
It's scary.
Is it like a Sopranos thing?
Yeah, pretty much. Oh. So what's going on with you guys tonight then? Anything
I'll just
good?
let Dr. Fate do the show. There we go.
Let's let Dr. Fate. Let's leave it up to Fate.
Leave it up to Fate. Yeah. Doing all right. Just trying to get through another week.
Yep.
Yeah, about the same.
Thank you, Gary, for going to do that pickup for me from Kent. Dan, are you going to LotCon on Sunday?
Yes.
Oh, could you just give him the slab?
Yeah,
please?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Will you transport a slab for me? You want to be a slab transporter?
I will transport a slab for me.
This is not the one you want, though.
Isn't it the first Guy Gardner?
This is not the slab you want.
I thought you would say this is not the slab you're looking for.
This is not the slab you're looking for.
Okay, so I know that if we want to go ahead and call it now that Gary will not be able to. Can't imagine Sal being angry. Oh, I can imagine ride in a car with him sometime. Ride in a car with him sometime while he's driving, Pam, and you will definitely see him angry.
Yeah, I've heard tales of Road Rage Sal.
Like I said, though, it's so funny because he gets so angry, but he's never like tailgating or like
aggressive driving,
swerving in and out of traffic or that. Like he's super angry, but still driving very safe. I was going to say, I guess we can already call it now. September 11th, Gary will not be on the show because the Redskins play that Thursday night.
I think you can pretty much count on that. You're playing on Thanksgiving, dude.
Yeah, we're not going to do a show on Thanksgiving.
I know, but I'm just saying you're playing on Thanksgiving. I was just making combo.
Yeah, I haven't really looked. I mean, like I know that they're going to play the Bills in Buffalo.
Have you all ever had a Thanksgiving game?
Oh yeah, they've had it. They years ago they played the Steelers on Thanksgiving night because my sister-in-law, the guy she was dating at the time, was just a real piece of shit. Him and his family are from Detroit, and he moved to. Hey, what's up, Richard?
Hey, Richard.
And moved here to was living with her, and his dad and his mom came from from out of town, from there for Thanksgiving, and they Richard says go Bills. And he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go to the game on Thanksgiving. He told me this a couple days before. I was like, oh wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I get there on Thanksgiving. He's like, you want to go? I'm like, yeah. Do you have an extra ticket? He goes, oh, we haven't gotten tickets yet. I'm like, yeah, you're not getting them. He's like, what? No, we're gonna get them. I'm like, no, you're not, dude. He goes, yeah, man, we do this all the time in Detroit. We just walk up, we just buy tickets. I'm like, yeah. Because it's Detroit and the Lions suck. This is before the last couple of years when they were good. This is like 10 years ago. I was like, it's because it's Detroit and the Lions suck and people don't want to go to the games. This is prime time Thursday night, Ravens and Steelers late in the season when both teams are good. Both are potential playoff teams. Like, you're not getting a ticket unless you're willing to spend a fortune. He's like, oh yeah, whatever. And they go on StubHub and his eyes just get real wide. And he's like, oh my God. I went, yeah, I told you, dude. It's Ravens Steelers in a primetime game. You're not getting tickets.
No, not at all.
There you are. You educated him.
Yeah.
And this is Pam's favorite part of the show when we talk sports.
Yeah.
This is. We're going to call this Pam's segment.
Pam's Corner.
Yep.
This is Pam's Corner.
Pam's Corner right now.
Pam's penalty box.
Pam's
Yes,
penalty box. I like it.
You got to let me know if there's anything you want me to keep an eye out for you on Sunday.
Yep, actually, I do. So I will let you know.
All right.
I'll text it to you.
There'll be no Damien Sunday. No Damien.
He's not going to be there?
Controllers.
No, he's got some family commitments.
Okay.
Family commitments.
That's fine. He can just come set up his stand, and I'll be happy to run it for him.
I bet you would. Run it right into the ground.
Best seat there.
Yeah, on the couch in front of the TV.
Yeah, there it is.
What'd they say? Yeah, there you go. Oh, is that Chris?
No, that's
no, it's Adam. But yeah, I'll see you on Sunday, Adam. I got yours right here, ready to go for you.
Nice.
When I've told somebody I've got yours right here, it's usually not nice. I got yours right here, buddy.
Yeah, that's right, Richard. But yeah, so I hope to find a couple good books to pick up.
That's much better.
Yeah.
I didn't know Damien wasn't going to be there.
He this first one he's ever missed. He's got a family commitment.
Then you're probably not going to find any deep back issues then.
No,
you don't have it. Yeah, okay, all right.
No, that's Damien's job. But right. Are you guys going to Big Lick?
When is Big Lick?
Big Lick is May 31st, June 1st. Dulles Expo Center again. Oh, you know what? JD will be there, who runs Big Lick. He might have some older books there.
Okay.
So the guy that runs Big Lick that you interviewed last year.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll go to that. Pretty much. Oh, you know what? No, I know I won't go on the 1st because that's when we're having my daughter's birthday party.
Well, that's understandable.
Yep.
Shouldn't we get a point for putting a dude in the net?
Yeah, we should.
Pam only comes for the pre.
She only comes to the pre-show.
Pre-show.
She's only here for the pre-show.
She leaves as soon as the show starts. She's like,
I know. She likes the intro, and then she logs off.
Yeah, she's like, Pam was like, I could talk Legion of Superheroes, I could talk Nick Cardy, I could talk Jim Aparo, but when they're not talking sports, there's just nothing there for me.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that Saturday, probably not. One of my goals. Yeah, I've already hit some collecting goals for this year. One of them is I do want to get a Golden Age book, but I want to get I want to get one that I would actually want, not just some, just some random, beat up like $5 book that's looks like it was chewed up by a rat.
Well, if you only got one trip in you, keep in mind the very next week we have Jim California in store.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely coming to that because I was even thinking, I was like, because I went through on Key Collector.
I
looked up every single comic that he has done, so I could try and decide which ones I have and which ones I want to get signed. I was like, I don't want to be a dick and show up with like a stack of 20 books. I was like, I figure if I, get like 4 or 5, that's probably all right. And I was thinking, and I looked, there's not a single book that he's done that has a blank sketch cover variant for it.
Well, he had said that if we have blank sketch covers and people buy them from us, he'll do quick sketches for free. So you can get them.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was the caveat because I was like, I got a couple Batman sketch covers. Maybe I'll bring one and be like, hey.
Well, bring one and have it and see if he'll do it. Yeah.
That's June 8th, right? That's June 8th, right? California?
It's a Sunday, June 8th. Yeah.
All right.
Hopefully you can make it because, honestly, the more people, the merrier we can get there would be good because there are some doubters, and I'm not going to name their names, who don't think that California is a massive draw. Well, I think probably not massive, but I think he's a good person to have there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's worked on some big titles, some big characters. So yeah,
I think so too with Exiles and all that. So yeah,
I mean, Exiles, Batman, Aquaman.
I do too. He just doesn't think he's as contemporary as others, and maybe not, but he's still prolific.
Yeah. Are you going to get him to sign your Aquaman 32, the Swamp Thing cover?
No, I'm going to get him. I mean, I've got him on quite a few covers. I'm going to get him, and one of those covers he didn't do. You might have done one of those, but anyway, because there's a Swamp Thing and Aquaman crossover. I'm going to get him. I have that big giant Aquaman omnibus, and also he's bringing up the Wildcat.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, no, because I was looking at him. I was like, oh yeah, because I was trying to decide. Maybe I'll get. I was like, I'll get an Aquaman book, and like maybe I'll get one of these. I was like, oh yeah, Aquaman 32, where Swamp Thing's right there on the cover. I was like, yeah, it'd be.
Yeah, I don't think that's the cover. I think that's somebody else.
I think it's him.
Okay,
maybe. I have to double check, but I think it's him because I was looking at it, there's some books I was like, oh, I got that book. I went, oh, but he didn't do the cover. He did the interior. I was like, I don't want to get him to do a book that that he worked on that he didn't do the cover of.
I've got about 5 California covers signed. So I don't have that one, and that's why it makes me think it wasn't him on it. But
right,
I'd like to get. I was looking through them. I was like, I'd kind of like to get a. And maybe who knows? Maybe I'll find it at LotCon. I'd like to get a copy of Batgirl #1, the series he did, because that has a really cool cover.
Yeah.
Oh, you did get a last minute spot. All right. Well, congrats, Adam. Then
there you go.
I'll come up to your
There you go, Adam. Good job. See, good things happen to those.
Yeah, I mean, oh, you know what? I'm looking at the cover. You're right. I think that doesn't look like his art. Someone else.
John Toltman.
Yeah, that doesn't look like his. He did the interiors.
He did the interiors, right? But I thought there was a reason why I didn't have him do that one. So, and it also crossed over into Swamp Thing, that series. Yeah. So, Swamp Thing manifested himself in seagrass. He and Aquaman were tussling. So Aquaman had a bunch of manatees start eating the seagrass.
So right now I'm leaning towards getting him to do Aquaman 5 because that was his first issue on the book, and then it was the first appearance of Koryak, who is a forgotten DC character.
Look at the covers of 31 and 33. Both of those I have signed by him.
Well, I was also thinking Gotham Underground 1 because that's of all of them, that's the one with Batman on it. Like I said, Batgirl 1 if I can find a copy, and Secret 615. That's the one with the really cool Deadshot cover where it's like raining bullets down.
Yeah.
And then for a current one, Defenders of the Earth 5. That's that really cool cover with the Phantom, and then it's his brother is the Phantom that's like coming out of the tree.
Do you have any of his hardback or great trades?
I've got the 2 Ned Lord of the Pit ones, and there's a.
And you're going to bring those.
Hey, Liz.
Well, I've got the first one. I've got the first one autographed by him already, so I'll bring the second one. But I also have.
Yep, Crooks and Nannies. I've got that too from.
I got that with this postcard for it, so nice. I might bring that. In fact, let me set this aside.
Was that part of the Kickstarter that he gave that to you too?
The first one, yeah, that was something he included in the first one. I think it was I think it was a stretch goal.
Yeah, he was doing those. It was a little online strip he was doing. I don't know that he's doing it anymore, but that's what the nooks and crannies were.
And Richard, I know what if you're on there. I know what a fan of Dexstar you are. California did the art on Red Lanterns issue 30, which is Dexstar, real big on the cover there. So if you want to send a copy of that in, if you send a copy of that to me, I'll get him to autograph it for you. I'll get him to write like Justice for Dexstar or something.
Corey is he loves cats.
Yeah.
So he's got a cat that he's got his picture when he sets up. He's got his cat's picture there. I think it's Gus for some reason. I want to say his cat's name is Gus. Maybe not.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get some business out of the way.
And a few other books I'm looking at. I've definitely got a few books I want to bring to get signed and get I absolutely want to get a sketch cover with with him to do something real quick on it. Yeah, I don't know. Richard, I don't know if you have that issue, but if you've got it, I think if you still got my address, send it. Let me see. It was Red Lanterns issue 30, and it's Dexstar real big on the cover there with some of the other lanterns.
There was a real cute episode of, it wasn't Justice League Unlimited, but it was a Justice League show, maybe Justice League Action a few years ago, where the League went off and left Plastic Man in charge of monitor duty. And let's see.
It's easy not to have self-control.
Yep. And Plastic Man was doing monitor duty. And of course, she's screwing up immediately. And there's a Red Lantern invasion led by Dexstar. And Crypto was there trying to set things right and to root out Dexstar and to show, Plastic Man that was a bad kitty. And Plastic Man wasn't hearing it and locked up Crypto in a cage that had a red sun on it. And I think Streaky came and ended up helping out. But Dexstar was trying to infiltrate. And Plastic Man finally catches Dexstar by posing as a kitty litter container. A kitty litter box.
Yeah.
And Dexstar went in the box and a Plastic Man caught him. So he said he did his duty. Was the final line of it. Yeah. Rim shot, but boom.
Well, you'll have to list that as one of Plastic Man's 3 badass moments whenever we do a Plastic Man revisit.
Even though it was in a cartoon? Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get some business out of the way before we start the show.
Here's trouble.
Buttered sausage. There we go.
We're going to see you on Sunday, Chris?
Shh, don't talk to the devil like that. The devil shows up when he wants to show up. You don't ask for the devil to show up.
It was funny. I went to the shop today and I got there before.
You're gonna see it.
Yeah. And John, the guy there, handed me my books, and I went, "Oh, Sal's gonna be here in a minute." He's like, "Oh, is he?" And then literally right after that, Sal walks in. I did the Bane voice, "Speak of the devil, and he shall hear."
Yep. And I said, "How may I help you today?" All right, let's get some business out of the way, folks.
Business.
Jump into the show. I am Sal, the Slab Guy, and you can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner and Instagram as the Slab Guy 77. Tomorrow, I will have a new video out. I did a wall refresh, and I took some videos before, showed you a little bit of the what I did to hang them up. You can't really see it too much right now, Gary, because they're red, but I'll turn the lights to white if you want to see what I got up there now. Okay. And then I switched out good 8 or 10 books, and then did another little quick show. So that's all tied together. I did some final editing today. That'll be up tomorrow night.
Mike last night for the first time on the podcast heard Slavatorium. He goes, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
I'm surprised it's the first time he heard it.
No,
and actually, I gave you credit for that too in my video.
I get royalties every time Slavatorium is mentioned. I get $1.
There you go.
Or maybe it's a nickel. I think I get a nickel.
I think it's a nickel.
I think it's
the guy right over here next to me is Dan the Kelly Art. Why don't you tell them about yourself there, Dan? Where they can find you?
Currently you could find me in my basement
right now. If you're stalking them,
you can find him at Comic Logic this weekend. That's what
I'll be at Comic Logic on Sunday, and very much looking forward to it. But you can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. Post a few times a week. I posted that. The last thing I posted is the pencils for that Phantom drawing that I did, which is something I had the idea to do a while ago, and I finally just had the time where I was able to actually sit down and do it. So I'm fairly happy with how it turned out. We'll see how the rest of it turns out when I ink it. But I had the idea a long time ago, I'll have the Phantom kind of stand there with some guns and the big skull cave. And
such a cool character, such a great pulp character.
It is, and he's getting a new book soon too from Mad Cave. And we were just talking about that in the shop day, weren't we? Saw how how after Batman hit big in '89, they were like, "Oh, we're going to do all these comic movies," and none of them really succeeded. And I was like, you look at it, it's all these old pulp characters they did. They did Phantom, and they did Dick Tracy, and they did the Shadow. And even though he's not really a pulp character, he kind of is in that vein of it with the Rocketeer, and none of them had the success that Batman had. Even though I think I liked all those movies.
I do too.
Yeah,
I think the Shadow was pretty
enjoyed them. They weren't Oscar worthy, but they were definitely watchable.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed them all.
Yeah,
the Rocketeer was fantastic. The
Rocketeer was amazing. Yes,
yes,
Rocketeer was amazing.
And I still to this day feel that we were cheated when we didn't get the Rocketeer sequel, because it was going to be a crossover between the Rocketeer and the Shadow, and that would have just been badass.
That would have been great.
I think so too.
Especially if it was the Alec Baldwin Shadow.
Alec Baldwin, that was a good movie too. I like that. I thought Baldwin did fine in that.
Yeah, I liked it too. I mean, they changed the Shadow's origin a lot, but I like, they stayed pretty true to the character, and the origin, was pretty cool that they came up with. And
right. Mm-hmm. All right, Dan, do you want to introduce this guy down below here, holding up the pillars?
Holding up the pillars.
Holding up something.
You see those muscles he's got there.
That's not from flipping pages. That's from moving long boxes.
That's right, baby. Look at that. 60 years old.
There you go.
There you go. It's from lifting long boxes and lifting ladies.
These days, it's lift them out of the way so I don't get in trouble. Sorry, ma'am. You have to go.
Sorry, man.
You're right, Pam. The Phantom was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Was Billy Zane the Phantom?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Christy Swanson was the love interest, and what's his name was the villain. It was Tate
Donovan.
No, it wasn't Tate Donovan. What? I have to look it up.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was great. I actually, my display of all my memorabilia and stuff right there in front of me, where I've got all the different rings. I've got the metal Phantom ring from that movie, the one that they were giving out at 7-Eleven.
Nice.
Awesome. Nice. All right, but then down below here, this is Uncle Gary.
Catch me.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Thank you. Woo! Catch me at Comic Logic, baby. Catch me there every Wednesday. Getting my new books, getting that 4-color ink. We get it injected. Me and Mike Harbour, we get injected in our bloodstream. Pumps up the muscles. I've told you constantly. Reading comics make you strong. You start out with
Treat Williams.
Single book. Treat Williams. A single book. Then you lift in a stack. Then it's a short box. Then a long box. And you are stacking them to the ceiling because you've got so many. Makes you jacked. Makes you packed, baby. Read some comics. Makes you strong. Throw in a few push-ups too. That's right. That's why we are all strong here at Comic Logic. At Codex Station and Comic Logic, because we ingest comics on a daily basis. We have we're in the midst of season where we have a lot of events going on. This weekend we have our Spring LotCon Sunday, 12 to 4. We turn our parking lot into a mini Comic Con. There'll be comics. There'll be local artists, local authors. There'll be toys. There'll be jewelry. There'll even be a tattoo station where you can get your favorite tramp stamp right ready for you to go. Whatever you're wanting. That's what we're going to watch Rob get. He's going to get a new tramp stamp. So you can get a tattoo, but it's fun. And even with that, it's still family friendly, believe it or not. So please come. The Schwartzlander may be there. So Chris may be there. I think we'll see him there. Dan Kelly will be there. Sal will be there in spirit by proxy
this time. Yeah,
that's right,
by proxy.
But please come. It's a good time. We'd love to have you. And then in 2 weeks from this weekend, on May 31st, June 1st, we set up at the Dallas Expo Center for our the Big Lick Comic Con, and there'll be us, a lot of other vendors. So there'll be some guests also, comic guests there. And then the week after that, in our very store, the one and only Jim Calafori, artist extraordinaire, from Exiles, from Aquaman, from Batman Underground. It's got the current Defenders of the Earth he's been doing. So he's and he'll have his self-published book Ned, Lord of the Pit, volumes 1 and 2. That 2 just came out at the end of last year. And he'll be selling that, signing that, doing quick sketches for people, doing more intricate sketches if you make an arrangement with him. but we would love to have you meet him also. So we got 3 great big events coming up. Bam, bam, bam. So please come see us. Also want to give some love to a comic character of the day site, which is founded by Archduke Kevy, being run by Dan up there in an expert manner. He's always giving you a great random panel of the day, and he's giving you a character of the day. And either myself or Talking Geek, mainly Talking Geek lately. I've been slacking off, but he's been filling up the slack, giving you a great cover of the day. And it's just great discussion, great place to be. So we want to acknowledge that great site. So comic character of the day, please come visit us. And let's give some love back to our moderator up there, the guy that's rocking the red, Sal, in the Slabatory.
Can't touch any red today. But hey, yep. Yes, I'm coming to you live from the Slavatorium. There you go. Push-ups,
Earth Downs.
That's
you know
right.
What? I was talking to somebody about that, and I remember that y'all brought up the Earth Downs, and I mentioned that, and they thought that was funny as hell. So yeah, Earth Downs, I love it.
Well, when you're
you don't push yourself up, you push the earth down.
Pushing the earth away, baby. That's right. Not using my weight. I'm using the weight of the earth. This is how Atlas does it.
That's right. Atlas wishes he could do that. Yeah. After you're done doing that, though, ladies and gentlemen, head on over to thecodexstation.com. Check us out there. Get some merch. Meet the team. So much more. It's an amazing site built to you by this guy right there.
The hell it was. By Sal. That's by Sal, our techno wizard. Yeah.
Oh, please. Where can they find us, Gary? What do we got that we want to give to everybody?
Oh, come on. Look at us. You know that we are absolutely positively dripping with the socials. We are infected with them, and we want nothing better than to give them to you, baby.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Any social media, do at the Codex Station, and you'll find us there. Hit that like, follow, and subscribe button like Richard has told you many times before. Do that so we can get that content out to a lot of people. Also, we're doing a giveaway for the month. Let me find that picture. Where's that picture? There it is. There we go. We got Astonishing X-Men, The Amazing X-Men, and The Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix. This time we're doing it a little bit differently. You got to go over to, I believe it's our Instagram account, and tag a lot of people. If you do the hashtag giveaway there and tag like 5 people, you'll get 5 entries plus your entry. If you tag 100 people, you get 100 more entries. So tag as many people as you can. Okay.
Tag, you might be it.
And you know, and the same goes for them. If you tag 5 people, you get 5 entries. If they, and you have to follow the page too. And then if they say, hey, this is cool, I'm going to follow the page and I'm going to tag 5 people, well, then they get 5 entries.
Yes, exactly.
And so on and so forth.
That was a commercial and so on.
Yep.
And tonight, there you go. Tonight,
thank you, Liz.
Tonight we'd probably get away with a lot of stuff because Jamie's in the middle of a power outage.
So he has no clue.
He can't see what we're doing. Can't see what we're doing.
We can be doing anything we want right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are ready to kick off the show. Are you guys ready for this super cool intro I got going on?
As fate would have it, we are.
As fate would have it,
we are. I see what you did there.
I like it there too. All right, let's go, and we'll see you guys in about a minute.
Your desires are relevant, but balance must be maintained. We are not men when we wear the helm. We are conduits. We are an order made flesh. Magic is not just power. It is responsibility. It is sacrifice.
Wow. So with great magic, there will almost so must come great responsibility.
Absolutely.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes, that's what we're saying.
I'm going to just start getting popcorn. I'm going to get drink and popcorn and enjoy the show from now on when you do that, because that's the best part of the show. That's just
thank you very much. I appreciate that.
That's just amazing. You are having way too much fun doing that.
I am.
I'm just gonna start getting back, have my popcorn and just have my drink, be like I'm at the show.
Yep.
Good
Yep.
stuff.
Yeah, Chris, very true. All right, today we deep dive into the realm of magic, mysticism, and cosmic destiny. Golden Helmet, Tower of Fate, the balance between order and chaos. He's not your average sorcerer. He's a man, sometimes a god,
Mm.
chosen by the ancient lords of order to wield the power of eternity. Whether it's Kent Nelson, Khalid Nassour, or others who've donned the helm, the legacy of Dr. Fate is one of power, pain, and impossible responsibility. From battles with demons and gods to clashes with reality itself, this is the story of Dr. Fate, DC's master of the arcane. Welcome to the Codex Station. Let's open the Book of Fate.
Nice. Nicely done.
Thank you. Thank you. Dan, why don't you go ahead and give us the info for this guy?
All right. Well, the original Dr. Fate, Kent Nelson, appeared for the first time in More Fun Comics 55 in May
Thank you,
1940.
Liz.
Created by Gardner Fox and Howard Sherman, because of course he was a Golden Age DC character, so of course he was created by Gardner Fox.
Like you had the question the other day, who is the most overlooked great creator? And I said Gardner Fox, and you said that'd been yours. We are on some my friend Gardner Fox. You know, if you're going to do top 10 creators, influential creators, he's on that list. Yep.
Yeah, I also
agree with that,
was not a fan of the half helmet.
Yep. And also he created the JSA. You know, he's put that team together. So
And the JLA.
and the JLA. Yep.
Yeah. As a side, already early to go on a tangent. Somebody replied that Bob Kane was underrated. I was like, I don't think you could use because people try and tear him down. I'm like, I don't think anybody underrates Bob Kane. They just want to give credit to the people he worked with that he tried to deny credit, for so long.
Absolutely. If you ask Bob Kane, he wasn't overrated.
Yeah. There was a great story about later on when he had all these ghost artists that were drawing Batman instead of him, but he was still turning in the pages and claiming he did it, even though the editors knew that he wasn't. So I forget who it was. One of the editors decided just to mess with him and, had him when he came in the office to drop the pages off, and he was looking at me. He's like, I need this thing fixed here on the art. And it wasn't anything that needed to be fixed. He just wanted to put him on the spot because he knew he couldn't fix the art because he hadn't drawn it, and said it completely infuriated him.
I bet it did. That's great. That's a great story.
All right.
Anyways, as far as his origin, there's been so many different Dr. Fates. It's essentially whoever gets, the helmet of Naboo and the, and all the different artifacts is who Dr. Fate is. They've all had their own different ways for getting that. It's been so many of them. It's just too much to go into individually. And as far as the powers, the helmet of fate, it's constructed from nth metal, and it gives the wearer nearly godlike mystical powers. Also possesses the amulet of Anubis, the amulet of Thoth, the cloak of destiny, and power-wise, really, it's essentially whatever the writer wants it to be is what it is. He's so powerful with his with the sorcery that, kind of along the same lines as someone like the Spectre, Doctor Strange, any of those characters. It's like whatever the story calls for, that's what his powers are going to be. And that's kind of, because of the nature of the character, that's, it's hard to question that.
One way they kind of depowered him was anybody that's not Kent Nelson isn't as adept as being Fate. Yeah. Kent Nelson is the gold standard, and the most powerful incarnation of Fate. So, so the others like Khalid, even in the current JSA, he's having a crisis of conscience, and he's just not, he's not anywhere near where Fate was in it. But that makes the character more, I guess, wieldy for the writers, where they're not so overpowered.
Yeah.
Because as an artist, this is one of the greatest costume designs ever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a fantastic costume, and there's been different iterations of it, some better than others, but just just that that blue and yellow or blue and gold.
Gold, yeah.
The way they do it is it's just such a great look. And
the helmet.
As for all the faults of the Black Adam
classic.
movie, they absolutely nailed Dr. Fate in it.
Oh,
Yes.
Pierce Brosnan was so good.
Yep,
Definitely.
And that look, I got to say, I got the three greatest buckets in comics are got to be Dr. Fate, Magneto, and Black Manta, I would think.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really call Black Manta's a bucket, though.
Not the helmet.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're going bucket wise, I'd throw Nova in there.
Yeah, but not as well known, I guess.
Yeah,
and a little too much like Magneto's, I would think, the shape and all that. But just great helmets.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right, so let's go ahead then and jump to our first segment, which is what works best for this character. I think I'll go first on this one. For what I've read, I like the power versus the humanity conflict. I like that when they give him like some depth and some doubt and make him more human, because I feel like when he's in that Dr. Fate mode, he's too godlike and nothing can stop him type situation. So I like it when he's trying to has that internal conflict. I think he works best as a tragic legacy hero. He's the bridge between mortal world and the mystic world type situation. And it makes him feel like he's a timeless guardian, but not just another caped hero with spells to me. So that's what I think I like best about him. How about you, Uncle Gary? What you got? What do you like best about him?
I like him best as DC's preeminent mystical sorcerer.
Agreed.
He is. Doctor Strange is a really cool character, and I know I'm showing my DC bias, but I just think Fate is so badass. You know what I mean? That he is, and the fact that in it with Dr. Fate, you get that helmet and you get Naboo with it, right?
Yeah.
So this ancient god that's part of the process with Fate, and so there's this duality to whoever the human possessor of the helmet is, and you got Naboo in your head and kind of in your soul, with his, gripping you tight. I just love that Fate is that he's that guardian, right? He's that guardian between the mystical worlds that he's trying to keep at bay that are dangerous to us. And, he's the guy there. He's at the bridge. I love the Spectre a lot, but the Spectre isn't a sorcerer. The Spectre is a mystical force, the wrath of God. And there are times where Fate has had to keep the Spectre from going overboard, or the Spectre at times can become possessed by the wrong person. And the Egyptian stuff is absolutely great too. So that's how I love him. I love him as DC's preeminent mystical, protector of all of us.
Would you consider equal to like the Ancient One?
Damn it!
No?
I think so. I think so. I think with that level of skill, and kind of equal to the Ancient One, because you do have Naboo there, who is the Ancient One, who is an ancient.
Right.
So you have that aspect.
Yes.
I know. I'm with you, baby. You have that aspect too, and I love that he is a founding member of the Just Society of America. So,
I agree. All right, Dan, how about you?
I like when there's the struggle between Naboo and the host of whoever it is, and sometimes Naboo will just be like, I'm taking over. And there's that struggle, like you said, between the humanity of the character and this powerful mystical being trying to take over. And you've seen it with different iterations of them where where they'll fight, like even Kent would have to fight against that Naboo mess with his memories, and and Hector Hall was another one that that would have the struggle. But you would also with him, Naboo would be like an actual physical manifestation, so he would be able to like see him and interact with him and talk with him. But I like him when there is trying to strike that balance, and when he's a member of the JSA. I think, he's been in the, there's been Dr. Fate in the JLA, but he belongs in the JSA.
Oh, absolutely. That's where he is, and that's where, and I think Kent Nelson is the gold standard, human host.
Yeah, I agree.
He's the one. So that's why I'm not so. It's okay with me if if Khalid might be on another team, or like when he was Justice League Dark, that was okay for me. But if it's Kent Nelson, he's got to be JSA.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead then and jump to our badass moments. Uncle Gary, I'll let you kick us off with badass moments.
All right, the first one is a general one, and this is for anybody that's Dr. Fate. It's a badass moment just to put that helmet on.
Yeah.
You're putting that helmet on, and you are risking losing possession of who you are because of Naboo's influence. He is such a strong, you could almost say corrupting influence in a way, because Naboo, you put that helmet on and you have to risk him putting his hooks into your heart, your mind, your soul, everything that you are putting at risk when you put that golden helmet on. So I just think that's a kind of cross the board badass moment for anybody that puts on is gonna put that bucket on his head.
And the easy comparison with Marvel is Doctor Strange. They're both doctors, mystic characters, and all that. And even when they did the Amalgam universe, they had Doctor Strange Fate.
Yep.
But when you think about it, another character that would be a good comparison would be Moon Knight with Khonshu, and this ancient godlike being that's trying to pull your strings and control you and do all that. And it's different with him than it is with Fate, but still very similar as well.
I thought one thing that was interesting with Doctor Strange Fate was they kept the helmet.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They kept the helmet. They said the helmet stays because that's too awesome. So
yeah, it was like Dr. Fate's helmet and Dr. Strange's cloak.
Absolutely, which was really cool. So yeah, I know, baby. In the aforementioned More Fun 55, when he first appeared, Wotan, who is probably his greatest mystical enemy, Wotan kidnapped his girlfriend at the time, Inza, who ends up being married to him, and Dr. Fate defeated him with his fist. He's like, all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna have an old-fashioned throwdown. So he beats him. He fights him. He's not quite on. I mean, he and Wotan were trading blows mystically, and in Fate's first outing, he decided, I'm gonna get down and dirty, and I'm gonna cold cock this sucker, and then he throws him out a window to his apparent death. You know how things are in comics. He comes back, right. but he bests him with his fist, picks him up over his head, tosses him out a window. That's pretty good. First time out the box, that's a pretty good victory. And then in Brave and the Bold, number 30, volume 3, Dr. Fate stores part of his essence in Green Lantern, Hal Jordan's ring.
Oh, that was one of mine too.
Oh yeah, he wants to. I'll let you tell that one.
No. You go ahead. I got other ones.
No, okay. Well, he stores part of his essence in Hal Jordan's ring because he wants to be able to glimpse the future. And as the future comes, Hal really needs him. I mean, Hal needs help, and he is on his last legs. He's in an abandoned planet, and his ring is almost done charging. And the desperation of his situation, the ring lets him know there's a source of power inward if you search within the ring, and he does. And Dr. Fate's essence comes out of the ring, and Hal tells him what's happened to Fate, that he and his wife have passed away, that they started aging at a rapid pace because for many years their aging was decelerated and slowed down, but something happened where they started aging at a rate. And so it gets to the point where it's understood that by putting this essence in the ring may have hastened that happening to Kent and Enza. And he has a choice where he could go back in time, in time with this knowledge, and stop that from happening, or he can save Hal. And being the hero that he is, he doesn't even hesitate. And Hal tries to tell. Hal doesn't want him to do that either. Hal tells him, "You do what's best for you, and I'll find a way out of this." But Kent, true to the man he is and the hero he is, he saves Hal. And there you have it. That's what a true hero does: sacrifices himself for someone else. So,
which but the other part too is he could have done both. He could have gone back, reformed with himself, and then having that knowledge of the future, be like, "Hey, on this day, Hal's going to need help." And then because when I was reading the issue, I was thinking, "Oh, that's what he's going to do. He's going to go back, and then Hal's going to be left there by himself, and then all of a sudden, like the whole Justice League is going to show up and save him."
Well, yeah, but Fate also in that issue, he was very, I think
he was at peace with it.
He was, the past is written,
yeah,
future is not. And I think Hal had told him the future's unwritten, and Kent tells him, but the past is written. So he did not want to go back and change the past. So that was part of what he could do. I mean, I'm with you. He probably could have done that too, but he felt, he felt that the past needs to stay in the past. So I just thought it was a selfless decision, and very mature decision, and a very Dr. Fate decision. It was the decision you would expect from a member of the greatest generation.
Yeah.
So those are my three.
All right, Dan, what'd you go next then?
Well, yeah, I also had the Brave and the Bold one. So all I'll go with is it's a one shot, the Day of Vengeance, Infinite Crisis, when the Spectre doesn't have a host anymore and is just running rampant through the DC universe, and all the DC mystical characters are fighting him and getting their asses beat. There was a real good fight in the miniseries that went with it, where he fought Captain Marvel. It was a really cool fight. But the one that's finally able to beat him is Dr. Fate, and it's not even really Dr. Fate, it's Naboo. It's just the helmet and like the gloves and the amulet and the cape and all that. And Naboo beats him and where no one else could, and then basically gets him riled up to the point that God has to take notice, and then binds the Spectre to another person. That's when he binded him to Crispus Allen. And then Dr. Fate said, because when he shows up in the beginning, they're like, "Oh, where's your host?" And he goes, "No, it's written. They're not, or is it Hector Hall has gone on to his earned rest." I forget exactly how he phrased it, but he's gone on to his final reward. There's not going to be another vessel for Fate in this magical age. And then after he beats, I'm not putting that up, Chris. And then at the end of it, he says, "All right, basically like this magical age is over," and hands the helm, like Naboo is like, "There's no universe left in the helmet. He used up all the power." He gives the helmet to Detective Chimp and is like, "Go find the new Dr. Fate." And then the Chimp immediately is like, "Well, he handed me the helmet," tries to put it on, and it doesn't fit. And he's like, And he gives it to Captain Marvel and says, "Just throw this out the window." He's like, "What?" He goes like, "It's Dr. Fate. Let Fate decide who's going to be it." And he literally just throws the helmet of Fate, out of it. And then it led to another kind of series of one shots about who was going to be the new Dr. Fate. But that was a badass fight between him and Spectre.
They've had quite a few. It always is pretty cool.
Yeah. And what's the intro? I got Immortal Dr. Fate #2, when Naboo is really kind of running the show and there's a lot of issues, but it's when Kent would be talking to his wife and then put the helmet on, and she'd be talking to him, and he'd be like, "Kent's not here anymore."
You know what? That was a really cool dynamic too. I really dug that. I thought one thing that made Kent maybe the best Dr. Fate was the fact that he had Inza in his corner, and that the two of them, that she kept him grounded enough to be able to fend off Naboo enough. I think, and because she was in that town, and talk about headquarters, that's a pretty cool, that tower with no windows, no doors. That's pretty awesome. Insane.
That is.
But there was, the villain was getting ready to kill Inza, and he managed to. Jesus Christ.
He just sent me what he said, what you couldn't show. Oh my God, that's great.
Did he send you the last one he just sent where he took shrapnel?
No. Oh.
Yeah, send that to Gary.
Oh man.
Hold on. Yeah, it doesn't work so much. In real life.
Yeah, Richard. Yeah, we can't recommend that. It works.
We do not condone that here at the Codex Station.
Yeah.
What was it saying? Yeah, he, she's getting ready to die, and he saves her.
Yep. Yes, you did.
I bet you.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
He's probably like, always wearing a helmet. Let's take a bath to the.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then, you already said Brave and the Bold 30, so I had one more I'll go with, which was JSA 51. It was the end of this this really good storyline where Mordru came and was, basically trying to take the power of fate, and fate managed to beat him at the end. And the way that he, basically took him out of play for a while was he imprisoned him in the Rock of Eternity for, forever. Though we know, Mordru was, then they knew he would eventually break out because they knew that he was, an antagonist in the future for the Legion of Superheroes. But, you're going to imprison someone. That's a pretty tough place for them to break out of, a place called the Rock of Eternity.
And Mordru's weakness was to be imprisoned under the earth.
Yes.
So that's why and Mordru is a badass sorcerer in his own right, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my three.
Like it.
Sorry, Gary, did you talk about the one from Seven Soldiers of Victory?
I did not.
One shot. Okay. I thought you did. I was kind of distracted that particular second.
I understand.
Yeah, so all right. So
Chris
Seven Soldiers of Victory number one.
I understand that.
Yeah, I know. Seven Soldiers of Victory number one. Clarion taunts Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate's legacy, right? And seconds later, Fate just drops from the sky, wipes him out in one blow, removing him from the battlefield with a clinical precision. Not a word. He not just an entrance, a spell, and a KO. Done. Just walked in, wiped the floor with his ass, and said, "See ya. Take a seat on the bench because that's where you're at."
Nice.
One of my other ones is let's see, Justice League Dark Annual number one. I got a bunch here. I got like 8 now in a Justice League Dark Annual number one. He traps Trigon with pure order magic, and Trigon breaks loose. So in the battle of gods and monsters, Dr. Fate uses the Helm and the stored power of Naboo to create a prison dimension, a pure order, trapping Trigon and cutting him off from the earth. That's pretty badass in itself, because Trigon's no small leaguer. He's a major leaguer guy, So one of the other things I like with Kent Nelson is from Justice League Dark, outwitting the Lords of Order. In this one, he betrays the Lords of Order to no longer serve them blindly, and he starts doing justice for the way it should be done. Magic is not about submission; it's about a balance of power and willpower, and it's a balance of willpower. And I think this book or this badass moment is a turning point for Dr. Fate. Becomes more of a magical protector of magical freedom rather than magical control. So that's what I liked about that badass moment. Let's see, what are the ones I'm going to talk about? This holding the back to Spectre. Countdown to Mystery number 7. You didn't talk about this one, right? Because you talked a little bit about the Spectre.
No, I talked about the Day of Vengeance.
Day of Vengeance.
That's right.
He and the Spectre have tussled on multiple occasions. Whenever the Spectre is without a host,
the
problem. So somebody has to be there to wrangle them.
It's
like those Snickers commercials where somebody's just being a real dick, and they're like, "Eat this, why? Because you're not you when you're hungry." It's like that whenever the Spectre doesn't have a host, take this host, why? Because you're not you when you don't have a host.
That's right.
That's true.
Exactly right.
So, anyhow, he holds back the power of Spectre. It's just like he still knew the role. Kent Nelson still knew this role, and he tries to resist and deflect the power of Spectre, who's been unleashed by Eclipso. And it's one of the few times that a rookie Fate stands up to the embodiment of divine vengeance and survives. So I got to give out a shout out for that badass one. So those are my. What's that?
Yeah, no, I said absolutely. And what's been really cool is, Eclipso started out as just, he was a villain, but he wasn't really that heavy of a hitter.
Yeah.
But they have in the past 20, 30 years, they have made him where he's on a level of Dr. Fate and on the Spectre. I guess more like the Spectre, where he was God's in the Orstrander run. God chose him first to be the vengeance, and he was too bloodthirsty, and he had to take him out of that role. So I love Eclipso being this, mystical entity, kind of like the Spectre is, and really malevolent.
I like that too. Yeah, I agree with Richard that the Justice League Dark is an incredibly underrated team. So that's very good.
And don't forget that Eclipso issue 1 is the one book that CGC will refuse to grade. If you send it into them, they'll send it back.
The one with the there's
with the plastic gem in it. Yeah, they won't grade it. They won't grade it.
Oh, because
they'll send it back.
There is a version that didn't have the plastic.
Yeah, I think it was the newsstand didn't have the gem, and the direct one did.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I got one more honorary mention for badass moments. Justice Society of America #1. Fate defeats a demon just by rewriting his name out of existence.
Nice.
Boom. Let's just take you off the field right now. Done. Hey, where's that demon? What demon? I don't know. Gone. So
DC's got a lot of great mystical characters.
Yeah.
But, as far as sorcerers, but magic users, but that's top of the food chain right there. When he shows up, it's you just called in the heaviest hitter you got.
And Golden Age DC really liked the name Kent, Clark Kent, Kent Nelson, Harvey Kent until they decided they were going to make him Harvey Dent. They really were like, I need a name for a character. Use Kent.
Mm-hmm.
Kent must be the name of like the coffee boy.
There you go. That's right.
All right. So let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, which is critiques and stuff that we do not like about this character. For me, it's not much. I mean, I think he's underutilized by a lot of writers. He's overpowered but emotionless type situation, and ignoring the host struggles. I think when they ignore the host struggles, I don't like that whatsoever, and it doesn't work for me. Part of what I like, because I mentioned this in one of the stuff I do like, is that internal conflict. So when they don't play on that, I hate it. It doesn't work for me. So that's really what I got. Uncle Gary, what about you?
I think maybe there have been too many hosts of Dr. Fate that keep it, that
only Doctor Who has many. That's many.
Exactly. And then what I really hate is when they turn the helmet into a knife, when it's a knife. So if you read the Jared, the helmet became a knife, which was really stupid. So
that was pretty lame.
Yeah, so
that's Dan alleviated to that, where he says it's whatever the writers want it to be, and I bet that was one of the situations.
Yeah, so that was just the helmet is not a knife. It should not be a knife ever. So the knife is nowhere near as cool as the helmet. If you wear a knife in the head, it's sticking out of your head, and that's not good. So that's my criticism.
Okay. Dan, how about you?
That's a Phineas Gage type of deal there.
Yeah. All right, Dan, how about you? What don't you like?
That's kind of along the same lines. Too many hosts. And I get it's one of those characters where the nature of the character is there's going to be different hosts, because that's just kind of how it how it was built into it. But it was Kent Nelson for decades and decades, and and then they went through a couple, let's say, questionable choices on who it was going to be. In the late 80s, it was Eric Strauss. Like, I don't know who had the idea, said, hey, here's a great idea for Dr. Fate. How about we take a 10-year-old boy we age him up into adulthood, we make him Dr. Fate, and then we make one of the supporting characters his hot stepmother, and then he starts trying to get with his hot stepmother, even though emotionally, mentally, and all that, he's still a 10-year-old boy. He's just in a full-size man's body, like, and DC was like, yes, that's what we need to do with this character.
Well, whoever was writing that had some personal issues he was working through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me.
And then in the 90s, I think it was actually J.M. DeMatteis that was writing that. He wrote Dr. Fate for a long time, different iterations of him, but and then like you said, the Jared Stevens one, when it was like, hey, let's make Dr. Fate grim and gritty for the for the 90s. So he's not going to have the helmet, he's going to have a tattoo on his face, and he's going to have a black hair with a streak of red through it, and the helmet's going to be a knife, and he's going to have a shoulder pad on one side but not on the other, and this like cable looking arm, and just it was just as stupid could be.
You got that right.
Just that there's too many iterations of you. Kent Nelson, and Inza herself was Fate for a
and
while.
I didn't mind Inza being Fate for a while. I thought that was I thought, considering the fact how tied she was to Kent, I was fine with that.
Yeah. And another the other one I really liked a lot, other than them, it was Hector Hall. The way they did the story
Loved
with him
Hector.
was it was a really cool story the way they did that, and that's when they did the JSA book, and which was very much a legacy book of we're going to have some of the original ones, and we're going to have all these legacy characters, but they're tying into the original ones. And I thought the way they did that was a really cool way to tie the new Dr. Fate into the legacy of the original JSA.
I agree. I thought Hector, after Kent, Hector is my favorite.
Yeah. All right, Chris, man. I look forward to
Chris,
hanging out
peace
with you,
brother.
See you, buddy. See you Sunday, my friend.
But yeah, that's but there's been too many of them, like way too many of them.
I can't even keep track of them all, Dan. I mean,
yeah, I
when I was reading for this week's show, I was going, I forgot about. I forgot about. There was, and so many of them were unmemorable.
Yeah, and the like I said, and the Strauss one was just such a
that
weird,
one we remember because it was so
bad.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Jared Stevens one.
Yeah, you don't.
So bad, you can't. You can't forget it, but some of them aren't memorable. And Khalid, I don't know what's his last name. I don't even know his last name. Khalid, that's the current Dr. Fate. And I was reading something where they had some criticism, was like, oh, you have this Egyptian character, but it's a white guy, so they wanted to make an Egyptian character for him. And there was someone else that was an Egyptian guy that was Dr. Fate, and I don't even remember his name. And then now it's Khalid, but again, it's just. You got a guy that's Dr. Fate for like a year or two in our time, and then, then we're going to give it to someone else, and then we're going to give it to someone else. And, I have a feeling that Khalid's going to be Dr. Fate probably for a while, which
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, it's okay. He's, he's in a good character, and, right now he's very unsure of himself being Dr. Fate, but at the same time, he has been Dr. Fate for a little while, so he kind of needs to get over that. But I have a feeling he's going to be the one with the helmet for a good bit now. Which again, I'm fine with, because let's get some stability in the character.
And I like that he's Egyptian. I'm good with that.
Yeah, me too.
And that he's an actual doctor, so it puts it, an interesting spin on the whole. Dr. Fate, because that was something that was interesting about Doctor Strange. His last name is Strange, and he's a doctor.
Yep.
So even before he was a superhero, he was Doctor Strange.
He was.
Right. Very true. I'd like to give a quick shout to the Justice League animated show where they had him on their Justice League Unlimited. Who was the voice of that? It was the guy from The Mummy, the original one with Brendan Fraser. I forget his name.
It was
I can't think of his name. Damn it. Anyhow, I think he voiced him like perfectly, and his mannerisms and stuff like that. I thought he was great in Justice League Unlimited on that one.
Let me look up his name. I could see the the guy in my head, and I can't think of his name, and I'm looking it up real quick because I'm going to feel Arnold Vosloo.
That's it. Yep.
And what did he play in The Mummy?
In The Mummy, he was the Mummy. He was Imhotep.
Oh, he was the Mummy. Okay.
Oh, no. Was that? I was thinking it was the other guy, the guy that wore the black, the other good guy that was partnered with Brendan Fraser.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
John Hannah.
Like the Order of the Knights or whatever.
Yeah. I thought that was his.
I'm looking up at Oded Fair.
Oded Fair.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was.
He was the voice of Fate in Justice League animation. Yeah, Unlimited.
In that same cartoon that had, I was talking about Plastic Man with Dexter, they had an episode where it was a Halloween episode, and the House of Mystery appeared, and they had Batman, Zatanna, Constantine, and Dr. Fate, and they were transformed into kids, and it was really great. It was a really cool, fun episode, and they were, and Clarion the Witch Boy was trying to trap them in the House of Mystery.
Yeah.
So it was just, I had it taped for a long time on my DVR, and when I had to change DVRs, unfortunately, I lost that episode. Oh, it was so good. So
and he was the Kent Nelson version of the character.
Yes.
On Justice League Unlimited.
And Constantine, when he was transformed to a kid, looked like he had a cigarette in his mouth. It was a lollipop.
Yeah, it would have been funnier if it was a candy cigarette.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. He's actually done voices for a couple of comic shows. He in Ultimate Spider-Man and Hulk and the Agents of Smash. He did the voice of the Living Mummy. On a couple Batman shows, he did the voice of Mr. Freeze.
Yes. Yep. All right, let's go ahead and jump to our next segment then before we get too far off the tangent. We're going to do our top covers now. And since Jamie is not here as par for the course, we are always going to show those covers first.
What's par for the course? We'll show the missing person's cover, or
we show the missing person's cover.
You were
first.
taking a shot at Jamie?
No, never take a shot at Jamie. He's a good guy.
He can't see. He's not here. He can't watch you.
I know, it's true. I'll get that text later and be like, what do you mean?
Oh, he hadn't fired you in a while, Sal.
That's true.
That's true.
But back in the old days, Sal got fired on a weekly basis.
I know. I think I'll just, you know what I'll do? I'll just keep making the intros longer until he says, until he says, that's enough. All right. Let's show his top covers.
I love the intros. Like I said, I need my snack, my refreshments.
Yeah, popcorn. All right. He has let's see, Justice Society of America number 30, it looks like.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool cover. I like the title, how being created like through magic there. And then he has Dr. Fate number 1. I think that's from his original series.
No, that's the Strauss one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's the Strauss one.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then last he has Batman versus Robin number 4. I know this is a B cover because the one he sent me was completely blurry, so I had to re-download it. So that's how I know it's a B cover on that one.
Yeah, a little spectrum in the background too. Like it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. All right, Gary, I got yours ready to go. Are you set?
Yep, we're set.
All right, here you go. I knew you'd do that on comics.
Yeah, I had to go old school. That's why one of the badass moments had to be old school too.
Yeah, exactly.
So the one on the far left is Danger Street. That was an alternate cover, Danger Street 9, and Danger Street was a cool title where it was replicating First Issue Special, and First Issue Special 9 was a really cool Dr. Fate story. The cover was by Kubert, and the inside story was by the art on the inside story was Simonson. So here's Danger Street 9, and that's just a great Walter Simonson cover with the Ankhs and Fate levitating. Just absolutely love it. The one on the far right is Dr. Fate, number 38. It's volume 2, and that's a Michael Golden cover. And I just thought that was just kind of an interesting cover. I loved all the background stuff. And it's just a stupid little thing, but I love the names in the fold of the cape.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah. I just think I think they really stand out that way. I think that's really cool that they have the
on that cover. There's
Yeah.
a lot going on in that cover.
There's a whole lot going on in that cover. So
Mhm.
I look at that and I'm like, man, that must have taken a while for him to draw.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the people are all kind of elongated and grotesque, in it. Just, very interesting.
Right.
And the first one is More Fun Comics 61. I believe that's Fate's second cover. He was 55 was his first appearance, and I believe it was 58 was his first, maybe, or 57 was his first cover, and then 61, I think he took over as the cover boy after that. But I just love that cover.
So humor me. What's the prices on those? Are those obtainable at all?
Nah.
Well, last year, remember I got my More Fun 60, that Spectre cover, which was the one I really, really wanted. Yeah, that was pretty. That was
That was pretty pricey. I remember you talking
pretty
about that.
pricey. You're talking. If you want that book right there, you're even for a beat up copy, you are upwards for a 1.0. You might be able to get a 1.0 of that under $1,000.
Okay.
Maybe.
One of my collecting goals this year is to get a good Golden Age comic in my collection, and I'm keeping an eye on a bunch of them. And and it's tough trying to find one that's not at least a few $100s.
You wouldn't mind having that one there, would you, Dan?
That's a pretty good one. I actually do have, I have some ones that I'm specifically looking for. I'm like, man, if I could find, a relatively cheap copy of this one. But
that cover is by Howard Sherman.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He was doing a lot of the covers back then. But just look, we got the Tower of Fate in the background.
Yeah.
We got Wotan.
What year did that come out again? I'm sorry.
That should have been 1940.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was 1940. And remember the Spectre's first appearance was 52, More Fun 52. So 61, is just the 10th Spectre appearance. So that's a great title. But that's a very pricey book. It's a very cool cover. 55, his first appearance, he wasn't on the cover, but anyway, but that again, a big logo, great big logo on it. It's just fantastic. I own More Fun 60, More Fun 72, which was a Dr. Fate cover and a Hitler cover, but it's the half mask, which I don't like as much. And then I own More Fun 83, which is a Green Arrow cover. So there are two Johnny Quick covers. I guess I need to get one of that. But the cool thing about having More Fun 70, or I'm sorry, I have More Fun 75, which is the Dr. Fate cover. It's the third appearance of Aquaman and the third appearance of Green Arrow and Speed. Nice. So that's what I like. And at the top it says New Aquaman, so it's got his name on the cover. So I like that. But the More Fun comic that'll hurt you, 52, the first appearance of the Spectre, very pricey. 55, the first appearance of Dr. Fate, very pricey. 72, the first appearance of Aquaman, Green Arrow, and Speedy, that'll hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. All right. Thank you for
for dashing Sal's dreams.
Yeah, I know. Thank you.
But that's a beautiful cover. Hopefully, maybe they'll do a facsimile of that. It's just so cool.
Maybe, or maybe perhaps someone in our studio audience would like to buy one and give it to us.
There you go. Well, last week or the week before, they had a facsimile of More Fun Comics 73.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. All right, Dan, I got yours queued up here. You ready to go?
Yep.
All right, here you go.
All right, so all the way on the left, it's the Dr. Fate number 4. It is from the run where Strauss was Fate, where even though I didn't like the character, I like this cover. I like that it's, kind of got a little bit of weirdness to it, and you got the cape all around him and the smoke and the space behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the trade dress at the top. Pam says not it.
Not it.
I think that's a pretty cool cover. The middle one, All-Star Squadron 47, that's the McFarlane cover, and I like how Fate is front and center, and you see the different characters that are important, to his life.
Mm-hmm.
on the cover too, and then you have him like in the Ankh. That's just a really cool looking cover the way it's laid out, and then on the end there, the JSA All Stars #3. I like how it has who at the time Hector Hall was the current Dr. Fate kind of in the foreground, and then the Kent Nelson, classic Dr. Fate behind him, and how it's got the lightning bolts coming out of his fingers, like that was on the More Fun cover Gary showed, and you've got the smoke, and it's like the old style art, but then the very modern art there, and I like how they did the cover almost like it's the sun kind of shining out.
Yep.
I just thought that's a really cool image, the way they colored it there.
The middle one and the one on the right were definitely on my short list, that's for sure. There were a lot of great Dr. Fate covers.
Yeah,
most definitely. All right, good covers. Let me show mine here next. All right, the far one on the left there, that's the Black Adam Justice Society Files, Dr. Fate #1. This is the A cover.
That was on my short list too.
Yep. Kari Andrews was the artist for that, and the colorist was Ulysses Areola. Okay,
I love Areolas.
Areolas. Yeah. So, the middle one there is Dr. Fate Volume 3. This is Paul Rivoci. Yeah, Rivoci. But I like how he's got the city in the background type of thing. It reminds me of almost like his protector role type of thing. Like,
and he's just like, I've got this covered, one hand.
Yeah, But if you look behind him, you got like the lines like a power shooting out. They have, the power's coming from the hands. Love that. That's cool. And then from the same series, Dr. Fate Volume 3, #5. I like this one because I don't know, he's not really punching this guy, but he's shooting a spell. The spell is taking its time going up and around and then over into his head, So it's like, it's not like an aggressive spell, but it looks like really aggressive because it looks like it's hurting this guy badly. But I mean, it's not like one of the the typical superhero like spell shooting. It's straight, it's powerful, it hits with it, and you see the the explosion on the other end. This one's kind of looping around, going through his head type of situation.
It's meandering.
It's, meandering. It makes me feel like he's not a direct fighter, but he's an indirect type of fighting type situation. So I like that. And of course, you got the cape action going there in the background, which is always awesome. So those are my covers.
And notice none of us picked any covers with the half helmet.
Yeah.
No, we did not. The half
helmet
wasn't on a whole lot of covers anyway.
No, it was not.
Thankfully. That was a bad idea. Whoever was like, yeah, let's cut it in half. Like, no.
Yeah. No.
Let's not.
I think they retroed it. So I don't believe this was in the original series, but they retroed it that he put the half helmet on because he was trying to get rid of Naboo's influence. And he made a different helmet.
It was just a little too much like, the Superman character Guardian.
Yeah. Yeah.
We also had the blue and the yellow color scheme, had a half helmet kind of like that.
Yep. All right, so before we jump to essential readings, we're going to just do a quick mention of the giveaway. Once again, it's Astonishing X-Men 1-4, Amazing X-Men 1-4, and Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix 1-4, which is Jamie's favorite series right now, because we know how much he loves Cyclops. And, I told him he can't win this. It's not going to him. So whoever does win this, trust me, it'll go to you. And the giveaway is a little bit different. You have to go onto Instagram and show that you're following us or tag us. And if you are not following us and you follow us, you get bonus entries. If you tag 5 friends, you get 5 bonus entries. If you tag 100 friends, you get 100 bonus entries. So please get out there and tag as many people as you can to get as many entries possible. And there's no limit. So do that.
And those series from Age of Apocalypse are fantastic.
They are. And I picked those up pretty cheap too, so I like that. That was also an added bonus.
Yeah, none of the Age of Apocalypse books are really pricey. The only one that's going to be kind of pricey is the Alpha book if you get the
gold edition.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you got it, Claire. But for the most part, like none of them are Like you could pick up the individual issues, and they're not going to run you a lot of money.
That's true. That is very true. So,
and they are well
all right.
to read.
All right, so let's jump to Jamie's recommended reading. He said Dr. Fate from 88 to 92, The Helmet of Fate, and Dr. Fate from 2015.
The Helmet of Fate, I think that was the, if I'm not mistaken, that was the series of one-shots after Day of Vengeance, Infinite Crisis, when they're trying to find the new host for Dr. Fate, and Detective Chimp has Captain Marvel just throw it out the window and like let fate decide where it's going to land, and then there was a different one shot for a bunch of different characters getting the helmet and trying it, and for different various reasons, and not being able to be Dr. Fate and having to have to go on to someone else. Like Detective Chimp was one of them. Black Alice, I think, was one. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. I want to say there were like 4 or 5 of them.
Oh, yeah.
The one shot.
Sounds right.
In Danger Street, the whole story was narrated by the Helmet.
Yeah.
Which was kind of, I mean, I dug it. It was kind of weird.
That is pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to who's next. Gary, your stories are next.
All right, let's see what I got. All right, I got the Immortal Dr. Fate 1 through 3. So what that collected was it collected the initial first issue special number 9, and then it collected the backup stories that were in Flash. I want to say 306 to 313, something like that.
Yeah,
right.
Joe was doing I believe was the writer on those. But so that was the first time he had really had solo stories. So that was recollecting those. So that's very cool to have. Then I also have the Brave and the Bold number 30. And that's volume 3. And that is that great story with him and Green Lantern, written by Straczynski. I think the artist was Jesus Diaz. The art on that was fantastic. There was a cover that I almost used, where he's like coming out of the Lantern's ring, where Fate's essence is emerging, and that was also on my short list. But that is just a fantastic book. That whole Brave and the Bold series that went like I think 33 issues. It started off with Perez and Wade as the writing and art team, and then Ordway took over at one point, and then it just ended up being great. And that last trade or so, or volume of trades, Straczynski was doing the stories, and they were fantastic. And right after this story, there was the issue after, there was an Aquaman Demon team up that you wouldn't think those characters would be together on anything, and it was fantastic. So I can't recommend that, that volume, Brave and the Bold number 3, highly enough. It's so good.
And the thing that is interesting about it was the original Brave and the Bold was all almost exclusively Batman team ups, and this Brave and the Bold was you could get all kinds of characters. I like the way that it started off because it was I think it was Batman and Green Lantern in the first issue, and then like one character from an issue would carry on to the next one, and they team up with someone else, and then the issue after that it would be that character with someone else, and then it would just for a while that's how they were doing it.
So the original Brave and the Bold, the first 24 issues were adventure issues like Viking Prince and Silent Night and Robin Hood and things like that. Then they started making it a tryout book where they give a series a try, and if it's sold well, it's get its own book. So Task Force X Suicide Squad was 25, 26, and 27. And then JLA 28, 29, 30. And then so they did it as a tryout book for a while with different features. And then it went to Strange Sports. And then at issue 50, it became a team-up book. And the first one was Green Arrow and the Martian Manhunter. 51 was Aquaman and Hawkman. And it became a team-up book. And Batman was interspersed in there a little bit. And the team ups became more and more bat oriented, and I believe the last team up that was not a Batman team up, I want to say it was 83, maybe Aquaman and the Atom, and then it's either from 84 on or 85 on, all the way to where the book ended at 200. They were all Batman team ups. Brave and the Bold. So, but I digress. And then the last one is JSA All Stars #3, Volume 1, and that might have been the cover Dan showed. That was your
that was the cover.
Yeah,
that was the one cover I showed.
That story in that book, you got 2 Dr. Fate stories. You got a Kent and Enza story as a backup by Darwin Cook, written and drawn by him. That was really great in that issue.
Yeah.
And you also, so that's why that cover had the 2 different versions, because you got 2 different versions in there. And then the main story was Hector Hall meeting Naboo in a pub for a little sit down. And it was really great. I love the story. Basically Hall was telling Naboo, I'm not going to sit here and be your flunky. I'm going to be my own man. And it was just I thought a very interesting story, and I loved it a lot. So JSA All Stars #3. And, it gives you an insight on why Hector Hall is such a great, was such a great Dr. Fate, with, like Dan said, the legacy.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And that was on my short list for my recommended reading too.
Absolutely. So good.
Right, Dan, yep. Dan, let's take a look at your recommended readings then.
All right. Oh, I also had Immortal Dr. Fate. Gary talked about that pretty well. Not much to add to it. That the original one, Kent Nelson. Dr. Fate Volume 3. This is when Hector Hall was Dr. Fate, and it was just after he had taken over as Fate, and he was still kind of trying to find his footing, trying to find his way. In this one, it was kind of like with JSA All Stars 3. It's not Naboo as just a voice in the helmet like he was for Kent Nelson. Like, he actually takes on a physical shape so Hector Hall can interact with him, and he's in the in the Tower of Fate, and there's the one funny scene where he's kind of criticizing Hector for not reading in the library enough, and him in this diner talking with him, but it's when Hector is still early on trying to find his way, and this ancient evil has come back that was someone that Naboo back in ancient Egypt had imprisoned, and is coming back, and Naboo kept telling Hector, you need help with this. I barely beat him myself. You're not going to be able to do it on your own. So, and it takes place in Salem too. So that was, a nice little.
That's always cool.
Yeah, a nice little thing. And then JSA Volume 1 through 59. I know it's like how Kevin used to give his recommended reading.
Yeah.
Like we did the Animal Man episode. He's like, all right, you have to read this entire run of Animal Man or something like. But this one, Dr. Fate was very, very prominent. Even though he's not in the first few issues of it. I want to say it was the end of issue 3, issue 4, when he finally shows up, and everything is building to that. And that first storyline is very much centered on the team coming together and Hector Hall becoming the new Dr. Fate. And then he was a very prominent member of the team and was kind of the leader of it for a while. And you got this, and it's great. As I said, one of the things I like with him is him part of the JSA is you get to see, his interaction with the original JSAers, with the younger ones. You kind of saw in the helmet Kent and Enza some, having some interactions with Hector. And it's not the whole run of JSA. It just goes up to 59, because in 59, that's the one where he decides to leave the team and kind of have some time on his own. But
if anybody reads that whole run, they're not going to complain about it. It's really good.
Yeah. I mean, the run didn't go on much longer after that. It was only about 20 or so issues.
Yeah, I want to say it went 80 4 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it ended, and then it went into Justice Society of America, and he came back and was part of that. But yeah, it's just a fantastic book. So
Absolutely.
go read it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Sorry, I had a coughing fit there.
What a cool card though with that. What a cool image of fate there.
I love that card. That's the one I chose for the final card.
Yep.
You know, that's just it was awesome. All the cards I had were wicked. Let's see. Here's mine. All right, so for mine, I had Immortal Dr. Fate as well. Not going to add to anything that Gary Dan said, so we'll just go ahead and skip down. Justice League Dark, 1 through 29. I feel like this was like a deep dive into the magic side of DC, and I don't know. There's cosmic horror elements like the other kind. There's existential threats that just can't be punched, only outwitted. And it felt like a Hellblazer or Swamp Thing type of Justice League title. That's
wrong with that. You get Pimp, you get Man Bat, you get Swamp Thing. You get some great characters in there. That's a good book.
Yeah, that is. So the stories were pretty good. They got epic stakes. They got unpredictable conflicts. The threats were uniquely magical. Like the Lords of Order declaring war on magic. The other kind,
the basement of the Justice League, Hall of Justice. They're in the basement.
They're in the basement. So you got the rise of Merlin as a force reshaping the world. This isn't just about like saving cities. It's like they were like saving magic. Being erased. So that's why I really like this one. This is written by Tinian, so I thought the writing was really good with that. And I think this kind of bridges classic and modern lore. I felt like it kind of did that a little bit for me. But if you like Sandman, Swamp Thing, or Hellblazer, or any other magic story that has rules, risks, and repercussions, Justice League Dark is a series for you. It's essential. You got to read it. My next one there, Countdown to Mystery, from 2007 to 2008. It has a lot of supernatural and psychological storytelling from the DC universe. It's first of all, it starts off with one of my favorite things. It's a flawed human Dr. Fate. So this is Kent Nelson. I'm sorry, this isn't the wise, all-powerful sorcerer Kent Nelson. He's a broken man. He's once a respected psychiatrist. Now he's homeless and suicidal. He's addicted to, and he's got estranged just from his family. He's spiritually lost. So when he finds the helmet of fate, it doesn't, immediately redeem him. It tests him, So this is, I believe this was Steve Gerber's final work, if I remember right.
I think he died, didn't he?
He died before the last issue or something like that. And, they formed a team that's finished it out in his style, I believe.
Gerber that you loved from Howard the Duck.
Yeah, I know. God. I don't like Howard the Duck. I'm sorry. But his writing is like introspective. It's darkly satirical, emotionally honest. So the final issue, after his death, features 4 different endings by comics greats like from Gail Simone, Mark Waid, Adam Beechan. Each is a tribute to his vision. So that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely something you want to check out. So like I said, I don't need to add any to the Immortal Dr. Fate because I think you guys covered that pretty well. All right. So now let's go ahead. God, I had a really bad coughing fit there, so I'm like really.
You gonna make it?
There. No, I'm not. I'm gonna die right here in the show.
Well, you choking like our team did.
Oh God.
I mean, if that happens, I will.
Too soon, Gary.
Too soon.
I will drive over to your house and try and revive you. And if I'm not able, I will make sure that there is no one that is able to pillage the slab room there.
Thank you. Appreciate that. He's gonna come over. He's gonna come over with a gun and say, "Bam! He's not revivable. We can't revive him. Bam! Bam! He's totally gone." All right. Let's go ahead and jump to our best writer and artist. So, Gary, what do you got for that?
I'm going to go with Gardner Fox for creating this great character.
There you go.
I love what he's done with this character and how he created this just fantastic image of him. I mean, just a great character they created. And for the artist, I'm going to go with Jesus Saiz. S-A-I-Z. How are we going to pronounce that? Saiz. I just thought, look at that version of Fate.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
Gorgeous. I mean, I just love this. So, and there've been a lot of great artists on him, and I think it's just because I read this. There's a reproduction of that cover. I think it just really struck me how clean it was, how beautiful it was. But you can't go wrong picking, any of the great JSA or the modern incarnations of those artists. But I'm going to go with Jesus Saiz.
All right, Dan, how about you?
For writer, I'm going to go with Goyer and David Goyer and Jeff Johns for what they did with him on JSA. Now that was the Hector Hall version. But they did when they first introduced Hector Hall, they did have, kind of Kent and Inza there. And, but, I mean, not just what they did with Dr. Fate, but really bringing the JSA back the way that they did and the way that they tied the old characters with the characters that are like their, some of them were their children. Some of them were just their mentees or people that, that, inspired them. I thought was a fantastic job, so I'm going to go with them.
And Jeff Johns loves the legacy of the JSA, and he loves those characters, and he has always treated them with respect.
Yes,
you are absolutely right.
And Jeff Johns has a way with a lot of the characters he's working on. Like Aquaman as an example, he made Aquaman a badass, and he took some of the goofy stuff that was with Aquaman, and it would have been easy to say, well, I'm going to make him a badass and I'm just going to kind of ignore this or act like this didn't happen. And he did a great job of like embracing some of that old goofy kind of weird stuff and incorporating it into a way that actually made it cool, with Aquaman, being able to kind of talk to fish and and some of it. And, I always think to that one scene where he goes into the restaurant and he orders like, was it the, the captain's platter or whatever it is. And they're like, you eat fish? You can't eat. He's like, why not? They're like, well, you talk to fish. He's like, like you live underwater, you live with him. He's like, well, you live above water with cows and you eat them. He's like, of course I eat fish. He's like, I'm not just going to survive on seaweed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, the way he deals with these characters, Fate being one of them, I go with him. For artist, I like the way Don Kramer drew him in the volume 3 Dr. Fate, but even though he didn't work on him much, I think it was just 1 or 2 issues. I like the way Barry Kitson drew him.
Barry Kitson is fantastic. Yeah,
where it was superhero-y, but it was kind of had that real good mystical element to it too. Like I know you got that Dr. Fate commission from him in Baltimore this past year.
It's a Spectre.
Oh, was it Spectre? Okay, I thought it was Dr. Fate.
Yeah, he's pointing at you. Oh, Kitson's fantastic, and he's another guy that is a great dude on a team book. Yeah, he is great on a superhero team book. But yeah, Kitson, I co-sign that, buddy. He did a great job.
I love the Legion run that he did with Wade.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so they're gonna be mine. The David Goyer and Jeff Johns on on JSA, and then Kitson and Don Kramer for
good choice. Good choices.
All right. All right. For me, I almost went with Jesus Saiz from the Justice League Dark, but I'm going to give it to Walt Simonson for his work on Immortal Dr. Fate. I love his stuff.
Yep.
No, I know. He makes him look more like a god amongst men than just a guy in a helmet with a shiny helmet type of thing. So for writer, You're gonna laugh, but I literally liked Steve Gerber's work with shit, what's the story?
Countdown to Mystery.
Countdown to Mystery. Yep, I could blank there for a second. So I really enjoyed that story. I had Tinian as a close second, but I went with Steve Gerber for best writer.
Well, that's good. Here we got a variety on this one. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
maybe I'll go give Howard the Duck another shot.
No, will not.
Is it just because you hate the movie that much, or do you not like the comic at all?
I don't like the character, whether he was in the movie or in the comic. Period.
Howard the Duck, the first maybe true Marvel movie.
It was, yeah, the first
care.
Marvel.
Not for me.
First Marvel.
Hashtag
movie.
not my Marvel.
Mm-hmm. The Captain America one was a serial, so not quite a movie.
True. No, not going to go there. That's another episode, ladies and gentlemen. We will not go there tonight.
No. Oh my God! Character of the week, Howard the Duck. What do you think, Dan?
I am out that week, 100%. You will be on your own for cards, intro, or I'll make an intro. It'll be like a 2-second intro. Howard the Duck. Done.
Remember when Disney, before Disney owned Marvel, that they were giving them, some issues with Howard the Duck and the similarities, that they claimed were to Donald Duck. So when Gerber brought Howard back, he was like, "All right, F you," and then he just made him look like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah,
and
listen,
made him do terrible stuff as Mickey.
I'm not a fan of Howard the Duck either, so I'm kind of with you. And his first appearance, it's Journey into Fear 19, I think.
Yeah.
10-thing book.
Wow. Interesting. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that goes ahead and wraps this show up. Thank you, everybody in the audience, for participating tonight. We always enjoy your comments. Thank you, guys, for showing me covers and stories and badass moments, of course. You guys always do a bang-up job with that. I enjoy doing the boards and everything like that for you. So, once again, I am Sal the Slab Guy. You can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner. Right over there is Dan the Kelly Art. You can find him on Instagram under Dan Kelly Art. And, of course, there's the Ric Flair comics right there. And when he's not doing IT work, you can always find him at Comic Logic.
Comic Logic, baby. Come this weekend, LotCon.
Come this weekend, and then 2 weekends from now, and then 3 weekends from now. I think
Absolutely.
It's busy schedule.
We going to tease who we're talking about next week?
Yeah, make sure to join us next week for a non-Marvel, non-DC character.
As fate would have it.
For the boys' own Billy Butcher.
Yes, indeed. And Mighty Mark Harbor's joining us?
Mighty Mike Harbor will join us.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
Yep, he will join us. Billy Butcher, the badass moments will be all cringeworthy.
All cringeworthy. So we should have a warning label for next week, right?
Yeah, next week's show will be
NC-17
advisory. Absolutely.
Parental advisory, yeah.
It'll be
NC-17.
like when it'll be like with the Preacher episode and the
Lobo
Constantine episode.
And the Lobo.
The Lobo was.
I look forward to doing the Constantine revisit. Because I wasn't on that one.
I would like to do that one either. I was on vacation.
Okay, great. So we got two of us weren't there.
Yep.
So
I guess who was on the show then with me when I did that?
It was
definitely would have been Archduke.
That's was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Then
it was you and him and Tim
and Jamie. Oh, Tim.
And I don't know. I'd have to go back and look if it was just the three, because I know Tim was on it and Kevin. Because I'm pretty sure it was Kevin's pick and you, and I don't know if Jamie did it that week or if it was just the three of you.
Well, we got to do a revisit on Constantine then soon because that's just awesome. All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the Codex Station tonight's Comic Character Week. Don't forget to join us on Saturday night for Comics Unleashed. Check out our pools and stuff like that. We will see you all next week for Billy the Butcher.